Hi, this is Mr. Real, and you are watching a workshop on the project cycle. The project cycle is going to help you get more familiar with the PBL process. I want you to know that this Prezi will be posted in every project briefcase we do throughout the year. So if you ever need to reference it, or if you need just a refresher on kind of how the project cycle works, feel free to do so. Every project is going to be launched with an entry event and a rubric. An entry document outlines the problem or project. You might watch a video, receive a letter, or have a visit with a professional community member. The options are endless here, so always expect the unexpected. This is an example of an entry document that was used last year during our Latin project. Amber Gracia, owner of Cinco Strategy Group, which is located in downtown Dallas, sent a letter to students hiring them as consultants to create a website for the United Nations. The website was for the teen demographic and included things like appropriate visuals and video podcasts. The letter also states when the websites needed to be presented and completed, as well as some websites that could be used for resources. Along with the entry event, you will receive rubrics on the same day as the project launch. This communicates expectations and really gives you a good understanding of how we will be grading you. Remember, whether it's this course or any other course, your goal is to be advanced. So when you're looking at the rubric, you always want to look at the advanced column. Here under criteria, you see the World Geo content as well as the written communication, which served as your English content. We chose critical thinking and oral communication, two of our school-wide learning outcomes, as the other two pieces that we were going to grade you on. Work ethic and collaboration could also be added to this. Our school-wide learning outcomes are oral communication, critical thinking, work ethic, collaboration, and global awareness. Once you have looked at the project launch, you've read the entry document, you've viewed a video, maybe you've looked through the rubric, we will move on to our knows and need to knows. To do this, you will generate a list about everything you know about the project so far. Once you have that list, you will make another list about everything you need to know about the project in order to complete it successfully. Here's an example of a knows, need to knows list over a project dealing with Australia. So as we can see, this student knows that the project is due on October 13th. He or she knows that technology must be used in the presentation. That presentation is 5 minutes long, and it's dealing with Australia. Some of the need to knows the student has is, what does the word Aborigines mean? What is an expository essay? How long does the essay need to be? And during that 5-minute presentation, do all group members need to present? Your need to knows columns are how you will determine what you are going to do that day or the next day in class. That's called your next steps. So once you have identified your knows and need to knows, you'll begin working together to get those answers for your need to knows. You want to make sure to edit the list though. So throughout the process, when you get a need to know answered, you want to move it over to the knows column. And if you think of something else you need to know, you want to make sure you add that. You always want to check the agenda in Echo for any workshops that your teacher is going to be holding. A lot of times these workshops will be valuable information. If you still have a need to know and you can't really figure out maybe the answer or a good way to do that, you can always request a workshop as well, because you never know if other groups are kind of running into the same problem. Again, the agenda is going to be important for your day in, day out time management. Your agenda is located in Echo, and it looks like this. So this is an example of an agenda from last school year. You can see that it has kind of the objectives and a really good understanding of what students were expected to do that day. Once we have looked at the entry event, the rubrics, you've created your knows and need to knows, maybe you've started thinking about some next steps. As a group, we come up with a problem statement. That problem statement is really going to be what pushes us throughout the project to stay on task and stay focused. We post it in the project briefcase under the driving question, and we will also post it somewhere in the workspace. So somewhere in the classroom, that problem statement will be there. More than likely, on your contracts, you will also write the problem statement there to refer back to it. The problem statement looks a lot like this. How can we as blank do or create blank so that blank? And again, the project briefcase is a valuable resource for you, not only to look for the problem statement, but also to look at any other resources we've used throughout the project. Here you can see an example of a project briefcase. Under the driving question, we have the problem statement. And then inside the project briefcase, you see various different PowerPoints, websites, PDF files, things that we've put in there so that you can refer back to it throughout your work time. Once all of your work is finished, there have been weeks that have gone by, you have worked together really well and have worked really hard. It's now time for your final presentations and the products. You always want to make sure that you are prepared, you're rehearsed, and you are familiar with the rubric. If you only look at the rubric on launch day and you don't look at it again until final presentation day, there's going to be some things that fell through the cracks, and that will definitely impact your chances of getting graded in that advanced column. So make sure you are becoming really familiar with the rubric. Presentations will most likely include special visitors from the community. So whether you are presenting or whether you are a member of the audience, you are definitely expected to uphold our 3 pillars: trust, respect, and responsibility. Some examples of final products might be websites, iMovies, art, literary stories, prezis, graphic novels, community events, and much more. So it's always exciting to see how hard you've worked and what you've been able to come up with. Once the project is said and done, once you have done your final presentations, you've turned in your final products, we will take time for a reflection. Reflections will help us kind of check in and see how you felt you collaborated, how your work ethic was throughout the project, as well as what you learned throughout the project, what was really meaningful to you as far as the content. Reflections also help your facilitators. They help us a lot by looking at maybe what worked, what you liked, what you didn't like, and how we can improve the project in the future. Here is an example of a reflection using Critical Friends feedback, I likes, I wonders, and some next steps. All right, so that was the project cycle, and now I'm going to give you instructions for a little activity we're going to do. Before you start moving around, though, I really need you to pay attention to the expectations so you have a good understanding of what you're going to do. So first, individually, you're going to think of as many knows and need to knows about the project cycle that you have. You can jot these down on a piece of paper. You can open up a blank Word document and type them, but you're just going to make 2 lists, one for knows and one for need to knows. When the timer goes off, I want you to pair up with someone at your table and discuss what you know and what you need to know. And this is a really good opportunity if somebody says something that you didn't think about, that you think would be a very important need to know answered, then go ahead and add it onto your list. And then when that timer goes off, be prepared to share out with the class using Padlet. So you'll just click this link here, and that will bring you to the Padlet here. The instructions are here. Double click anywhere on the wall for the title, label it a know or a need to know, and write something you and your colleague discussed about the project cycle. So you'll just double click here. You won't put your name. You're just going to put a no if it's a no or a need to know if it's a need to know. You'll write maybe what you think is the most important one, and then you'll move on. Again, that was the project cycle. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to ask. And we are so excited to work with you throughout the year and see what awesome projects you come up with.